it's easier for us to adapt to the need and find out, where the gaps are in the rental market, and then adapt our project to make sure that the gaps get covered.
You're listening to the DORE Podcast, where we spotlight the people, ideas, and businesses keeping Ottawa running. From contractors to real estate investors, entrepreneurs to industry experts, we dive into real conversations and help grow everybody's pie.
Episode 31, Assera Property Group.
We're live now. We're recorded live.
Fabulous.
Yeah. So Marc Amyot, in French, Marc Amyot.
Yeah, I guess.
In Français. I think we met the first time at OREO, right?
I think so. It was quite a few
Ottawa
years
Real
back
Estate
now.
Investors Organization. Yeah, exactly. So obviously, if somebody listening in, they'll know your face from those events because you play an active role there. So and you're a natural at doing this. So.
Yeah, I'm on the board of director now. But yeah, when I started a few years ago, it was a brand new world for me. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That was must have been 2017 or 18 that we met there, I guess.
Perhaps, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, and you do a great job. So obviously, everybody there is they're lucky to have you there doing that work. So not just saying that, but it's just really it's great. So. So Marc, obviously, you and I both are in real estate. We just said last week we were chatting about your project. So when I asked you to come in, I'm like, I think it'd be good for people to hear, Marc, where you come from, how you got involved in real estate, and I know you did, have to do some renovations, and now you have to development, and so take us to the beginning of what got you involved in real estate to start.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's quite a few years back. I always sort of wanted to invest in real estate. For some reason, I remember I was probably 18 and I started shopping triplex in my area. Back when a triplex was cost like, $100,000 in Quebec.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Then, that's a long time ago.
My dad was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop wasting your time.
Yeah.
And then anyway, things went on, and many, many years later, I think... in 2014 or so, I did my first flip. That was when I used to live in Vancouver.
Okay.
And talk to me. A flip, yeah. That's the first thing I did. So talk to me about trial by fire, doing a flip in Vancouver.
So hang on a second. That's interesting. So a flip, is this somewhere you were living and then you purposely built?
I purposely bought a property that was distressed, and then we renovated it.
That's
but
interesting.
I did not have the knowledge to get this done in the beginning. I partnered up with a friend of mine who had some knowledge in renovation, that kind of stuff. He was running a big flooring company, actually.
Okay.
And we went in there with a $30,000 budget of thinking, reno's going to cost this much. The reno, and then every time we're like, okay, what if we just do this too?
Right.
And what if we just do this too? The trap of the early or beginner investor.
Yeah.
We ended up spending $100,000 in renovation instead of 30.
And so let's qualify that. Was that because it needed to, or just because it was just like, if we do it this way, it'll attract a bit more?
It's
or
because
a bit of both.
The property was one of those property that we could have probably done it quick and do a decent profit, and then we could have probably do it mid-range and do a decent profit, or full range and do a decent profit. It was located in a great neighborhood. It had a lot of potential, and then we kept saying, you know what, at this point it'll just be this much more, and then we'll be able to get this, right?
Right.
We got it to a point where we probably took it higher than we should have. In retrospect, it was still, honestly, we did a fabulous return on this project, but full transparency, a portion of that return was definitely due to the fact that the market was rising.
Right.
And
so you're benefiting from,
I think senior or experienced investor are going to tell you, right? When markets are rising, everybody's a hero.
That's right.
I'm not inventing that term.
No, but I think that's a crucial thing that you just said there. I mean, that you just hit something that everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
That you go back past COVID, you just own anything, and you're like, everything went up. Yeah, you didn't do anything. It's just the market, right? So it's it. I mean, I think that's great that you're pointing that out.
Because we hear that often, like, I had success there, I had success there. And I was like, okay, what problems did you have? Oh, nothing I could overcome. And I was like, so everything was perfect. Your entire journey as an investor?
Yeah.
Fabulous. I've never heard that. Actually, I've heard people say that. But when you get deep enough in the network to know what's really happening. I haven't met an investor that haven't had a hard time on one or more project, right? It's a very difficult journey.
Yeah.
That being said, we pulled through on that project, and then we moved. My wife and I moved here.
Okay. And you sold it?
Yeah, we sold it.
So you cashed out?
Yeah, we cashed out. I think on that we ended up making probably $80K on that project on a
Good
flip,
for
which
you.
is incredible, right?
Yeah.
Doing $80K on a flip, that's very good.
Yeah.
And
you're saying essentially you were over budget.
Yeah, I was over budget. We made $80K. So that's just to show you how much the market definitely played a role there. So we ended up moving here, and then I've always, I remember my wife and I were shopping for a house to live in, and I saw a townhouse. I was like, it makes sense. And then she saw a house right across the street that was like, back then, there was like maybe an extra like $50K, right? And she's like, let's just buy the house. It doesn't make sense to live in a townhouse. I was like, well, townhouse cheaper. And and she's like, why don't you buy a townhouse, make this a rental, and then we'll live in the house. I was like, okay. So we agreed on that. And then one things led to another. There was a second property, a third property. Eventually, I realized that I'm gonna have some limitation here. Life went on.
But limitations how?
In how fast I could grow a portfolio,
right?
But
because of time, money, or both?
Knowledge.
Okay.
Right. I'm realizing I don't have infinite amount of money, so either the market has to go up, or you have to create some form of equity in there. You have to fabricate money in some way, right? Or value if you want. But life went on, and then something big happened in our life where my wife almost lost her life. When that happened, I wasn't sure if I was going to have to take care of everybody. So then I really went heavy in educating myself, finding a mentor, finding a coach, initially associating myself with the wrong people. And by the wrong people, I meant people who I thought had a lot of knowledge, but there was a lot of smoke, you know what I mean? And not a lot of fire. So until the day where I came upon a man called Christian Spielvogel. Of course, so Christian.
Yes, of course.
Christian is one of those actual real superstar. He's probably one of the, if not the smartest person I know. And then he imparted a lot of knowledge with me. He taught me to think differently when it comes to real estate, to really sit at a business case. Learning to deal with your risk and mitigating it. Risk management is a big portion of his strategy and thinking. So that really helped me out. After starting coaching with him, then I think within the first 3 months I bought 3 properties, and they were all full BRRRR, even as the market was turning.
And then the purpose of those rentals, were they flips or they long-term holds?
Those were all long-term holds, but all the money that went in there were immediately out within.
Say that again?
Within 6 months to a year, all the money that was used to purchase the property and do the renovation was completely out.
Okay, so you were able to refinance.
So they're fully refinanced within a year.
And you kept them?
Yeah,
you didn't flip them?
I kept them, and they were cash flowing even with all the money out. So they were
good for you.
They're fabulous projects.
Good for you. Infinite return.
Yeah, we could call it this way. I don't like that term.
No, I know, but I'm just saying it's like...
I know.
It's like there's no money in now.
There's the only way to calculate a return like that is using what is called the internal rate of return.
Of course.
That.
Of course.
Most people have never heard of the term because everybody counts or talks with the term of ROI, like the return on investment. But then, as you said, if there's no money
then it's infinite, right? Because I have no money.
On ROI perspective,
is this working?
Right?
Yeah, of course.
So the funny thing is that the internal rate of return is so difficult to explain and even harder to calculate.
Right.
That most of the time you'll even confuse people by
100%.
trying to explain it. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So now we do real estate development, and when I talk to an investor, I provide different metrics of return to see what work for them. Because it's like saying tomato, right? Some people prefer one metric, some other prefer the other metric.
No doubt.
So then we offer different way of seeing like, okay, you know, how much money am I making if I'm investing in a project like that, or how much money the realtor I should be using is what's the target return here, right? So following that, things continue to evolve. I got closer to Victor Menashe. Now we do. I started a small renovation company based on those different projects. So essentially, I was hiring some people full time, and things were working very well. So at that point, I'm like, okay, maybe we have something here. One of the trade, actually, I think it was my electrician at the time approached me. He's like, do you realize what you have here? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, every time we come on site, things are clean. The different trades that we meet, like they're solid people. He's like, I don't think you realize, Marc, but it's rarely like that. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like, okay, how hard would it be for me to then turn that into a company where it doesn't take a lot of my time, right? Because time is always my issue now. So what I ended up doing is I partnered up with the carpenters. I was like, hey guys, you know, what if we did this? I'll make sure that the leads are created. Like, you know, if clients have renovation, it'll come through me, and then you guys will...
So you do it for other people's, not so renovation, not just for your stuff.
Exactly. After those projects, and then so it became a company on its own. It's called Opus Renovation.
Opus?
Opus, yeah. Okay. So we do mainly like basement renovation, kitchen, bathroom, that kind of things. We don't do anything particularly big. You know, they're not involved in the development projects. It's really just a small renovation company. We do good work, and that's that. So on the real estate development side, now we're doing much bigger project. That being said, I do it under the guidance of Victor Menashe. So Victor actually leads the two development projects we have on the go. The main one that might interest your listener a little bit more would be the one that you know about. In fact, it's right here in Orleans. And what's really special about that place is that it's located 2 minutes from anything. And when I say anything, I mean
like walkable.
Anything. Walkable.
Walkable, LRT. Exactly.
It's funny because when I discovered that property initially, I had a hard time understanding why this wasn't full of towers, right? But realistically, I think the city just got lucky. I think the city...
You were wondering why there wasn't full of towers?
And
I can tell you why.
Well, share.
At DORE, we're more than just leasing agents, we're rental matchmakers. Our team is dedicated to matching the right tenants with the perfect home. With personalized service and a deep understanding of the rental market, we're here to help you find a place that you'll love. Inquire today and rent from people who care.
Because this is an established older community, obviously, and the zoning there didn't allow that before. Then they changed the zoning, and they were wondering why nothing was getting done. Well, because you need every player playing around, and when you go into these established areas, if you get pushbacks from the neighbors, and so people prefer not to do infill properties for these types. These are larger. These are not your duplexes and triplexes they want to build there. And when, I know the counselor that runs that area, like Matt Luloff, has been a big proponent of trying to get this area to significally, intensify, because the LRT and the mall and everything is just there.
There's no other place like
that. But you need one or two, and you know more than most of anybody that's listening, how much time and energy and money that's involved in bringing that to fruition. But now you're seeing, I think there's 4 or 5 projects.
There's 4 or 5 smaller one happening, because people were not able to get a land assembly. People bought single lots, and then
it's too small.
And then they went and they did like a 20 or 22 units on it. By having 2 lots, you can do nearly 100% more.
That's right.
Right? So that's a huge difference on your return.
Because the work is the same, right?
Exactly.
There's the time you're doing is the same. You just get a lot more leverage.
Exactly. But you have, you have twice the square footage, but you have 3 times the number of units. Talk to me about a much larger return on your investment.
Of your time.
And of your time.
Yes, of your time. Because obviously, to do a development, a small development, large development, a lot of times it's the same process. Just the amounts are much smaller. So
absolutely. So again, the vicinity was incredible. The first thing we did is we acquired the first property, and we got lucky because there was an assembly that was done. One of the person there was somebody passed away and became an estate sale.
Yep.
So we were able to get this property right off the bat at probably something like $300,000 under what it was listed, which was a huge difference.
It's a big difference in this market.
We paid 60 cents on the dollar, really. And this was the corner property.
Okay.
So that meant, like, for us, is the better access. That was the number one property.
No doubt.
So like everybody else, I was like, hey, you know what? I'll do a 20 or 30 units on there. But as we continued talking with the neighbor, there was some interest into selling, so we had a long discussion. So that took about a year, and then we acquired a second property, and then
The adjacent one.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then we had opportunity to even buy the next one over, but then it didn't make sense anymore. And now it's really a
Because that the one next to the adjacent one actually sold too. Did it? Because we were managing that one.
Oh, okay.
Point.
Yeah, they actually offered it to us again, like I think last month, and we said no.
Okay.
And the reason we're saying no,
maybe it's on this different.
It's an architectural thing, right?
Okay.
Sometimes you can only manage to have buildings that are so long,
Sure.
right?
Fair
Before
enough.
you fall into some kind of structural issues.
Gotcha.
So that makes sense. So you see, out of the two lots, our initial plan was to do around 66 units, and now I think we're going to be closer to 73 to 75 units.
Yes, and that's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a very big difference. The
Yeah.
other thing that's interesting about this project that makes it a very good project is, well, again, really the number one thing is the proximity to anything. I think it's the first time,
Like literal proximity.
Yeah.
Like it's like
It's the first time in Ottawa that I've seen that no matter who you are, you can actually live normally without a car.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You need to do your groceries. It's not about walking 20 minutes down the road. It's about 20. It's about 2 minutes to a major grocery store.
That's right.
Not your corner grocer that only have apples and you know.
Exactly.
So in the actual grocery store, the gym, every single health services are there.
Yep.
Doctor, dentist, hairdresser, name it. Like absolutely everything is there.
Yep.
Physio, massage, chiro, like absolutely everything.
They're all like literally next door.
Yeah. In addition to that, you got the mall, you got
The
your
mall,
coffee
LRT.
shop,
I know.
pharmacy.
I know.
Anybody who know the area are always
That's a
like,
discussion you and I were having, right? Where it's like, listen, I was very forthcoming, but I'm like, listen, I get it. I get all these things. But but the parking is obviously, because it changes the project.
Exactly.
If you're trying to get parking to a certain level, then you can't build to the maximum capacity. It's just reality. So it's really, we're a bit on the teeter-totter of, is this going to work? And then obviously then you talk to, the younger generation, many cases, they're not too concerned about not having a car because they're used to using the Uber, or they'll use other methods of transportation that perhaps an older generation couldn't necessarily fathom, right?
Yeah.
So there's definitely a switch there. So and it makes a big difference for you in the investment you're putting in, because the return, if you're having to do parking, there's no return or very little on the parking. Right?
None, absolutely none.
So
it really had, for this project, because this project has very minimal parking, and funny enough, like the other project coming up in the same area, but so that's the reason why they have to be very centric. We're really aiming at, look, the individual will have no car in Ottawa, and if you're looking for a place where you can have, for lack of a better word, the best life, right?
Yep.
The most convenient area to live, I think we have it here, right? The other thing is that on that project, we're approaching things a little bit differently. And because we're not a multinational that has, 100 million volumes of SOPs that says, no, it has to be this way, it has to be this way. We can actually shape the mold.
Right.
It's easier for us to adapt to the need and find out, where the gaps are in the rental market, and then adapt our project to make sure that the gaps get covered. If you remember, you and I had a conversation about it. I spoke to other people in the industry that are property manager that deal with, we extensively studied what was available in terms of rental. And one thing that you don't find is essentially cheaper unit. Right?
No, pricing is a thing. No, listen, it's,
So at the end of the month, or at the end of the day, if you're looking for a place to rent, let's say you're you could be a young professional, you can be in any situation really. At the end of the day, what's your budget at the end of the month? You know what I mean? Do you have $1,500? Do you have $1,800? Do you have $2,000, $2,500, $3,000? Doesn't matter. What's the budget?
That's right.
No matter what happened or the size of the units, your budget's your budget. If you
Right.
don't have the money at the end, you can't pay.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So what we did is we focused on bringing the price where we need it to be
Yep.
in order to achieve all the points in terms of MLI Select program
Right.
to get the most advantages possible, but also to offer the missing sort of product.
Right.
And here I'm not referring to a cheap product in the sense of, people with no money are going to want to live there. No, it's a matter of focusing on offering a product that is good, but that is more affordable than what's left on the market.
Right.
And if you ever had any unit that was cheaper, and you would have them from once in a while,
Yep.
you would see that it's not the cheap people that apply on it. It's anybody who wants to save $200.
No doubt.
And then
Yep.
you get the choice of
Yep.
all the best tenants.
Yep.
And of course, some people that are probably in rougher circumstances are going to apply as well. But then you get a choice of 100 people to select from.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
I remember one day I reduced one of my unit by about $200, and I got 60 applications in 24 hours.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
No.
It's crazy.
The units are in many cases are very price sensitive, and and for all the right reasons, and obviously that's kind of what we were chatting about. That missing link is that, but then if can you make your project work so that it makes sense?
Exactly.
Develop it, because it's one thing to say I need to hit this metric, but like we were saying, if you don't have any washer dryers or your units are 150 square feet, then yes, on a pro forma it looks really good,
Yeah.
but
Who's going to
live there?
Exactly.
Right?
Investing in Ottawa real estate? DORE Property Management has 20 plus years of proven results. Call 613-227-0000 or visit DORERentals.com.
Right?
So what we did is we figured out what metrics we wanted to hit, and then we adjust the unit to match that.
Right.
And of course, so yes, reducing the size of the unit is definitely one of the things that we're doing. That being said, it's very, I think people will be very comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's also following a worldwide trend, right? Anywhere in the world, absolutely anywhere in the world, where the market got expensive, you know what I mean? And it was being more and more difficult to rent. Everywhere, it's always the same thing. The unit gets smaller. It's just a matter of when are they going to get smaller?
That's right.
But they always get
right.
smaller.
That's right.
And they always rent.
Yeah.
But it's every time the old school train of thoughts is, nobody's going to want to live there.
And it's normal because we're not used to that.
Yeah.
Right. But we're in rentals for us, where it's always a red flag is when you get a small family applying on a one bedroom.
Yes.
Because that's the budget.
Yes.
For that one family. So that speaks to those challenges.
Yes.
Right? They need the room, but the price is a priority. So
Yes.
if there's a way to try to figure out a way to create a product that you're able to satisfy that price range and still make the project viable, then that seems like a winner to me.
I
right?
agree. I'll give you an example. We have bachelors, one bedroom, two bedrooms in that project. And for example, a lot of our units, our bachelors are at 367 square feet,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So it's far from being big,
Yep.
but it's not 150 either.
No,
but
exactly.
I can guarantee you that,
Right.
for people to get a unit in the $1,500 range, they'll be more than happy to
Yep.
get a 350 square
Yep.
foot unit. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
So it's either that or you get the cheapest one bedrooms in new apartment in Orleans start at $2,100.
yeah.
You know what
I know
mean?
they're expensive. I know.
So to save
I know.
$600 a month to live in something that's 200 square foot smaller,
Yeah.
I
And
have no doubts.
and the lessons that you learned from your first flip are helping you with that, because clearly the cost associated with where you're going to invest, where you're going to put the money, what's going to actually work, are actually serving you to this day.
Yes. I think it's very, very much an alignment with finding the people that are the best at what they do, right?
In what sense?
I would not be fooling myself that I could pull a project like that by myself.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You need the right team in place, and in this case, I have Victor and Y Street Capital running the project for us, and the reason is simple. They're really good at what they do.
Yep.
They're doing it in several provinces. They're active in nine states in the U.S.
Yep.
It's a team that comes with a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience, and that's really key to any success in a project like that, right?
Nice.
When you're going to hire your GC, you want to make sure that they've done comparable project, that they know what they're talking about, that the contract you have in place makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, because you got to make sure that the people you hire are not getting kicked back from the trades and that kind of stuff, because you want to keep your.
That's the.
You know,
it's always, and that's a.
But you got to be aware of those things.
No doubt.
You know,
no
if you're
doubt,
not aware
no
of
doubt,
those things,
no
then those things happen.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So the people, so Victor and his team would handle that GC part for the project.
They handle
or?
everything pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
So they guide the project from A to Z.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're partners with him, or?
So at this time, there might be a partnership in the future. At this time, they're on a contractual basis to run the project for us.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good. Oh, cool. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So that's very good. Yeah, I can't complain. It's a very good arrangement.
No. Well, that's. I mean, obviously, and then when you're running with experience, it's And I wouldn't be, I'm in a similar situation where we're involved in development, but I'm not running the development because my experience is in the operations.
Yes.
So we got involved in the purchasing, but when it comes to development, we're consulted based on what we see and what we think should happen in order to make sure that the units are attractive and they'll attract the right people and we're in the right range. Because I was explaining to, there was somebody I was speaking to this morning, we're chatting about, you call it the pro forma decision, but the reality is there needs to be an understanding of what's happening on the market, like in the real world. And when the project we were working on, where we did a as of built appraisal at the beginning, it came in, it was significantly higher than what we anticipated it would be worth. But then when we started going into the details, the rent roll that they were using was 20, 25, 30% higher than what I had said we suspected we were going to attract in terms of rent roll. So I said to my partner, so hang on a second, hang on. Just from an operational standpoint, if we hit these numbers, bonus, great. If the market supports it, hey, we're not gonna shy away from it. But I'm telling you right now, we're seeing the people who apply on these units, and like I was mentioning earlier, where you get a family of 3 or 4 applying on a 1-bedroom unit, that's all they can afford. And then we look at, I think the last time we did this exercise was probably the beginning of this year, where we ran all rental applications that got denied and tried to get a consensus as to why they wouldn't even, wouldn't be approved. And the first part is there's the affordability is nowhere near what is required to afford these units.
Yeah.
So you have half the people applying that can't necessarily afford it, and then you're talking about a product that we're going to be 25, 30% more. If the market can support it, let's not build to that model.
Yeah.
Because we're shooting ourselves in the foot, I'm telling you.
Yes.
So we've readjusted. So when we were doing certain things, there's certain things we changed because we're like, okay, this can save $300,000. This can save $25,000. This saves, $75,000. Do we really need this product? Do we need this? Yes, this we absolutely need. Okay, let's do it. Yeah. But when you start doing that, and I mean, obviously your experience doing the flip, which serves you to this day, and being in the business, and you mentioned earlier where you had I'm assuming if you reduce the rate on one of your rentals is because it wasn't renting, right? We're all in the same game. Then you saw how price sensitive that those units were. So if you build a product that people can't afford, then what are your options?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Then you're done, right?
Exactly.
You're there, right?
Exactly.
So this project, is this the only one you have on the go right now, eh?
Yeah, that's all I'm focusing on.
It's a big one. So.
Yeah, exactly, and only so many hours in the day. At the end of the day, my time is well spent in the sense that it's really led by Water Street Capital. Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm consultant for decisions, that kind of things. But sure. For my involvement in time for time it's worth it. Like it's not a crazy amount of time for me.
Yeah.
That being said, it's big enough that I'll take care of that project and then we'll move on to something else.
Right.
I don't want to overload myself with like too many projects at the same time, right?
100%.
That'd be you can even take like even the largest company. That's what I find interesting. Sometimes they plan for their fiscal year and they're like, we'll start all these projects, and then even the biggest company gets completely overrun because they're trying to chew too much.
That's right.
Go back in 2018 when even as like take Minto for example, all the subdivision they were doing, they were drowning. You know what I mean? There were some houses they were no longer making any money because everything was going wrong.
That's right. That's right.
And if you talk
and you look at I mean, we're both in Ottawa. I mean, you look at Ashcroft and all these things that are happening. These are not small companies.
No,
so it can happen to everybody, right?
Yeah.
When, as you mentioned, I'll use the analogy that's really good that you put in at the beginning, where you had the market writing for you, and everybody's a hero.
Yeah.
But the reality is that when you get to a point now where everything is kind of, recalibrating, then it's where who has the debt, who can cover it, who has the cash flow to keep these things going.
Yeah.
And so it changes the game. You have to be very prudent, right, in how you do things. So
the good news is when you're a small outfit, it's a lot easier to adjust to the market, and make any change that you need to do. So that's definitely a positive. In our case, most of our, not most, but our ventures are investor driven, what I mean? So we partner up with investors in our project, accredited investors obviously only.
Okay.
But then that's what gets us going. And in terms of feeling the market or feeling the need is, because we're a small outfit, we can adjust to what we need to adjust, in general, I prefer that approach. It also keep our overhead very low. We don't have like an office to pay for, and a ton of employees that if you don't have something going right now, they're just on the payroll.
That's right. I mean? That's right.
So that definitely helps the margin quite a bit.
Yeah, no doubt. And the and any indications of when you are expecting to break ground there? Or?
Yeah. So our initial calculation was going to be late fall.
Of this year?
Yes. That being said, we have found so much new efficiencies inside the building. That's how in the last month we were able to come up with almost an extra 10 full units.
Yeah.
So based on that, we're like, hey, you know what? Rather than trying to rush the winter, and then if you miss the frost line, then it's all those extra winter costs.
Yep.
And for people who don't have the experience, it's very pricey.
It's
not
doubt.
just the cement's more expensive because they're all the additives.
Yep.
But it's all, especially like then you got to heat this thing. People work a lot slower. It's not going to move at the place you want to go.
No.
Because if the framer's up there at minus 35, he's not framing at the same speed that he does at 20 degrees. You know what I mean?
No, and that's brutal. No, listen, I hear you. And I mean, for all the right reasons.
Yeah, of course.
Right? That's for all the right reasons. Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, we're planning on breaking ground first thing in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably when the ground's untaught. So
what kind of time frame are you budgeting for completion?
14 months.
14 months. Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. I wrote 14 to 16. Some of the final decision on GC part is not done. We've talked to several, but it could be done in as low as 12. But I'm not planning on that. Yeah. So I put 14 to 16.
Yeah.
Maybe even.
And are you all pretty much covered with the city? You got your all everything's.
So that's the fabulous part. Everything's by right.
Yeah. As what?
Everything is by right.
By right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody can say anything.
Oh, okay.
So I need no minor variance.
Okay.
No zoning change.
And they still didn't give any issues? Because we had a property like that and we still got brought through the ringer. So.
Oh yeah. Even during our consultation with the city regarding site plan control, they're pretty much happy for anything.
Okay. I think that the enclave where you're at, there's such an appetite for that area to be developed.
Oh yeah.
That they're just trying to entice you to go. So.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Selling a commercial property? At DORE, we know how to attract the right buyers, price strategically, and help you get over the finish line and close. Let us market your asset the right way and help you get the returns you deserve. Visit us at DOREMultiresidential.com.
The other good thing is you're talking about the neighbors earlier, and at the moment I started this project, that's one of the first thing I did is there was a in French, a regroupement, like there's not an association, but there's a group of citizens in the area of neighbors that joined force because they were going to change the maximum height you could build to.
Oh, sure.
Because they were going to, right now, even in the code, it says 12 stories, but the city indicated they want to bring it down to 6.
Okay.
And that's the reason we did 6 on our project is because I'd rather do something that's good, actually even very, very good and safe, than trying to take the risk of going 12 and then eventually it changed and you're fighting that and then, you know.
That's right.
I don't like that risk.
Yeah.
You know
No, it's a calculated risk.
I'd rather take the safer passage on the left side and be like,
Yep.
you know what, 6 stories is an excellent project.
Yeah.
You know, a good and done is better than perfect and never.
Right.
You know?
No, absolutely.
So,
that's what was that old saying that better have one in the hand than two in the bush? Somebody told me that one day. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, oh, okay, one in the hand as opposed to two in the bush. Okay, yeah. So just,
it's a hunter reference.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's awesome.
yeah, so anyway, I met with them. I found their contact information. I met with them and they were ecstatic.
Okay.
In fact, not only were they supportive of the project, like they were super pumped that we're doing this.
Good.
Because in their mind, like it's the more density they have in the area, the more their land is going to be worth, right?
Of course.
So
I got that too. Yeah. You're talking about the residents in the area.
Yeah.
I was surprised too. Well, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. If they own a house, their house, you know, may be worth twice as much it was worth if it was just sell as a house because it has development potential, right?
Yeah.
So in many cases for them, it's and I mean, it's older properties for the most part.
Yes.
So there's definitely an appetite to see that grow and the rezoning. I don't know at what point the rezoning got done there, but it was like a blanket rezoning, I think.
It was,
and it because they really wanted that area because it's the proximity of where
for a
everything is.
reason.
Yeah.
I don't think the city ever planned what happened there.
No, of course not.
Realistically, what's there is, you know, those new 15, quote unquote, 15 minutes neighborhood they want to build, and realistically to make them work, they have to spend like, okay, it's going to be this 20-year project for, you know, $20 billion. And well, they have this pocket of that, except instead of being 15 minutes, it's a 2-minute neighborhood.
That's right.
But completely by sheer luck.
Of course. No, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, I think there's a huge appetite for them to grow. So I'm happy to hear that you're getting the support because it's not always the case. So
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Good for you, man. I'm rooting for you. You know that.
Thank you.
I am.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I mean, this project once it's built, you'll lease it up. Yeah. And are you looking to do a long-term hold? You're looking to
that's a long-term home strategy. So what we tell our investors, the plan is. It's on a 5-year sort of like, we run the property, we keep it for 5 years. After 5 years, there's an exit, right?
Yep.
So at that point, if you want to stay in, you can stay in.
So exit meaning you can exit your cash?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
The investors can exit and take all their profits. So the goal is to return, we've targeted right now to return 70% of the capital at permanent financing. So meaning like you finish constructing the project, then you lease it up, and you go to financing. Once we get the money from the financing, the goal is to return 70% of the capital. And then after the 5 years, it's 2 options. The first one is you want out. At this point, you get paid all of your profits. I think we have a targeted return of close to 25% on that one. Internal rate of return.
Value. Of course.
Exactly. And if you want to stay in, then essentially we're simply going to refinance the building again, and then we're going to provide a portion of profit, and then a portion of profit is also going to stay in the building until we decide to exit fully.
Nice. Good for you.
So
good for you.
Yeah, we small shop because most bigger outfit that would do something like that with investors, they don't give that option, right? It's at 5 years.
We buy you out.
They buy you out and they keep the building.
Of course,
right?
of course.
Versus I make it.
I've seen a few different variations, but I think for the most part that's what the angle is, because they want the debt out. They just want to take over, and it's short-term debt for most cases. But I've seen it different ways. I've seen some. There's a project that I was approached on. And for them, essentially from once it's completed to 5 years, they're actively just trying to sell it. So everybody's going to be cashed out when and if it sells, and if not, then they'll reevaluate at 5 years. But it's always a bit different.
When they
and I guess it depends on the investors too, right? What are they looking for?
Yeah, it's rare that you get the option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's simple, right? It's de-risked at that point,
Of
right?
course.
So
You got your money out.
Yeah.
Infinite return. No, not infinite.
But also for the builder or for the developer, you know, after 5 years, if he can refinance and buy you out, it's been de-risked. He's in a good place.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean? He's got a good building. It's
Yep.
going to continue to increase in value. He's making good money on it.
Yep.
So, you know, I'd rather have, you know, half a watermelon than a full grape,
Yep.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
So to me, it's a good way to build a relationship to give it that option.
Oh no, I think and that's the way to leverage. I mean, obviously, like you mentioned at the beginning, everybody has their, you know, their limitations on resources, experience, time, and so on. So when you're using everybody wins. Well, and that's when you get into bigger projects, because most people don't do a project of that caliber on their own.
No.
Right? Like it brings lots to the mix.
I don't think nobody does, really. You know what I mean? The only people who can do a project this size, it's a bit smaller than the bigger project that Big Outfit do, but everybody needs to have a team. You know what I mean? It's impossible to do that on your own. And if somebody did it on their own, I'd be very cautious.
Yeah. No, exactly. So, no, that's good. And then once you have that, you mentioned you perhaps may go to something else, but then, I mean, that I guess is you'll reevaluate once you get to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in about 2
be a
years.
couple of years now.
Yeah,
by the
we'll
time
be.
you're at that point and make a decision and see how that works. So
Yeah, exactly.
good for you, man.
So we did the first slides of our capital raise. We're going to do the second one probably starting next week.
Okay.
We don't have a big amount left to raise.
Okay.
And then once that's done, shovel in the ground in the spring, and we go from there.
Nice. And Opus
Renovation.
Are you looking to do more with that, or they're already booked solid, right?
Opus Renovation does not take any part in the development project.
No, but I mean, as a standalone business.
Oh yeah, it's a standalone business.
Yeah.
It's
So
that's a business that I own a portion of now. You know what I mean? And it's run both by me and Andrew, who's sort of the lead carpenter for the company.
Okay.
He's a fabulous individual. You very much care about what he does. I could not ask for somebody better.
And you're looking for more business for these guys?
Always.
So how do they reach? How does somebody listening to this reach them?
Yeah, of course. So Opus Renovation. So OPUS. Renovations.ca.
So Mike, we'll just make sure he had that link. So obviously if somebody, because I mean, obviously people who are looking for renovations are always looking for people who are reputable, they can do the good work and so on. So obviously if they work with you, then already, you know, there's an advantage of relationship there. So it's good.
And we have only 5 stars on Google.
Yeah. I said only 5 stars, but I only have 3 reviews. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no. I think we have 20 something now.
Okay.
The thing is, you know, reviews in that industry is interesting because, you know, if you do a basement, you know, or a larger project, let's say, right? It takes 3 months.
Yep.
That's one client.
Oh, I know.
Right?
I know.
And especially if it's a bigger project, those clients are not always the type that want to leave their name on the internet.
No, I know.
So getting like reviews in that
know.
industry is not something simple.
I know.
If I sold coffee,
Yeah.
I would have 1,200 reviews by
Yeah.
the time Christmas comes.
Yeah.
You know, but in
Yeah.
the renovation world, if you can have like a few dozen very positive experience, you've done something.
No, right. And then it's word of mouth for most cases.
And they don't look like they all came out the same week.
That's right. And a lot of times, I mean, we have a Google page, obviously, with reviews. Like for us in property management, we do a lot of reoccurring business. So it's the same client. So you can serve the same client multiple times on different transactions, but they can only leave you one review.
Yes.
So you're limited the other way, right?
Yeah.
So it's
you probably, in my opinion, you probably have the worst industry for reviewer, right? Because you also have to deal with a lot of, you know, if you have one rental and 10 applicants, and 9 are disappointed. So 9 of them.
But it was surprising, you know what? Before we ventured out into doing that, I was always like, it's just the people who complain who are going to put reviews on. But at one point, you know, the team was telling me, like, you know, we do a lot of good work. There's a lot of happy people what we do, and so you know, we'd do it. And I was surprised because at one point when we put a push in letting people know that they could review us. I think I forget it how many years ago, but we were like at 80 reviews and we're 5 stars, which is kind of weird in property management because most people, because you deal with problems, right?
Yeah.
Because when you have problems, you know, some are happy because obviously some are happy, some are not. So, but then I'd have people question, well, it's impossible to have just 5-star reviews. It's just weird how people think.
Yes.
And you're like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, well, it's just people you know. I'm like, oh, that's odd now, right?
Yes.
Because we're worried about the odd one that wouldn't give you a good review, but then,
yes.
Then the people will say, then they question, they think that what you're putting in is not true. I'd be the last one to want to do that. Just put whatever you want, and you can go on and you'll see, everybody, if anybody comes in and give you a bad review, whichever, like we literally will look at it, because sometimes, we may have made a mistake, or we did something wrong and we need to own up to it. And sometimes we didn't, we just need to, put on writing our version of the events and then move on. But, in rentals and property management is, you're in the business. Not everybody likes you all the time, but we try to do the right thing, and everybody wins, right? So that's good. So Marc, any parting words for anybody listening in for Opus, for coming to Oreo?
Oreo, yeah. If you want to actually, let's talk about Oreo real quick.
Yeah.
If you want to invest in real estate and you don't know where to start, Oreo is definitely the place to be. Right?
Okay.
So to be clear, for people who don't know Oreo.
Yeah. So maybe just say that just so people listen to.
It's
Ottawa
pronounced.
Real Estate,
It's pronounced like the cookie, right? Oreo, but
with
really,
an I. Yeah.
Yes, but go ahead. You can say the name if you want.
Yeah. It's Ottawa Real Estate Investors Organization.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And it's a not-for-profit club, really, right? So it's a not-for-profit organization, meaning that when you go in there, there's not a ton of people trying to sell you stuff, or it's really a place to learn.
Yeah, educational.
I think the cost has been the same for probably 20 years.
Yeah, very minimal.
I think it's $127 a year
per year. Exactly.
Yeah, and
there's an event every month except August.
August, but even then, normally we have like a special event now, like a dinner or something like that. And that money really is used to rent the facility and that kind of things. And the quality of speaker we get there, it's incredible. Even a couple of months ago, we had I'm trying to remember his first name for the Smith maneuver, not the father but the son.
Okay.
Coming to talk about the Smith maneuver, right? So
what is the Smith maneuver?
Do you want to get into that now?
I don't know. Is it real estate related?
You know the Smith maneuver?
No.
What?
No, I don't know. Maybe not the terminology.
Okay, so the Smith maneuver is the idea of taking making your personal property tax deductible,
okay.
right?
Sure. Okay. I said just the term is like, what is the Smith maneuver?
Smith maneuver. Okay. Maybe it's my French enunciation.
No, I'm French too, so I'd understand your French.
So the Smith maneuver, people can Google up and they'll get a good explanation.
I guess I didn't hear the lingo.
No, that's completely okay. And then, last month we had somebody coming from the US, actually on Victor's team, talking about AI in real estate.
Oh, yes, okay.
And what's out there.
I wasn't in town.
That can really help you. Yeah. And I actually missed the event because I was out of the. I was not around. But that being said, I got a crazy amount of feedback on how good this was.
Oh, wow, good. That's awesome.
I think a few months ago I gave a quick presentation on how to vet contractors and that kind of stuff for newer investors. They have their small project they want to do, what to avoid, what to do, that kind of thing. So there's always. So
Oreo is a good source. Anybody listening in?
It's the place to be. So if people want to learn, they can go there. And if that's about it.
That's great. Yeah, and then you can get to meet Marc in person.
That's right. I'm usually there every event.
Good stuff. Hey, Marc, thanks for coming in and sharing your journey with people. And I've told you before, but I'm rooting for you, man. I want to see you succeed.
You're the best. Thank
you.
Much.
Thanks, Marc.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the DORE Podcast. If you're an entrepreneur or investor focused on real estate in Ottawa, we want to hear from you. Apply to be a guest and check out our video content anytime on YouTube.